You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Incoming transmission.
To the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. The new conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
You're listening to the HoloNet on Lanterns Media Network. The millennial conservative resistance begins here.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the new millennial conservative resistance does indeed begin right here, right now with you. You are listening to the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network and syndicated on KLRN Radio. Thank you for joining us this Sunday, the 24th of February in the year of our Lord 2019. We are coming to you right now from the strangely snowy Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, that's a thing that actually happened this past week. Unexpected snowfall throughout the Grand Canyon state. And in fact, our good friends down in Tucson actually had to have their police department come out and make an announcement. We're going to go to that information right now from Tucson PD.
If the media can all hear me. Answer to the main question is we don't know what's going on out here. Tucson's never seen anything like this before. We've gotten lots of calls about a white powdery substance all over. We did have our crime lab out here just a little bit ago. One of our officers here is helping out now with that. Some stuff we're taking to the lab, and as soon as we find out what this is, we will let you know. Please don't go out in it. I was touching it earlier. We don't recommend you doing this, but I can tell you this is burning. This is burning my hand right now. So we do have a little bit of training. And matter of fact, I don't know if you let me roll on my gums. Okay, no, that burns. This isn't. Do not try that. We have some training that burns. As soon as we get a call from the crime lab back, we will let you know exactly what's going on here right now. Apologize. Wait a minute. Okay, this is a crime lab. Hello. What? You're kidding me. It's frozen water. Hey guys, let's tear this down. It's frozen water. It's frozen water. I'm sorry. Don't play this part, please. Okay. Thanks media, everybody that's come out here. Thanks again for coming out. We're a little bit flabbergasted as to why this is such a big deal. Right, goggle. This really isn't a big deal. I don't know why everyone's so concerned and panicking around the city. It's frozen water. It's frozen not. Water. They call it snow. I know we don't see it a lot here, but it's just snow, guys. So drive slow. Are you okay?
Yeah, got in my mouth.
Got in your mouth?
Go ahead.
It's okay. Drive slow. Leave extra distance between vehicles, and give yourself some extra time if you're going somewhere. But other than that, it's everything's fine. Okay. We appreciate you guys coming out, but please, just now. Okay, thanks. If we could just play the second part, not that first part.
It's frozen water.
Frozen water. Let's get out of here. I don't even... What's going on?
Hey, what are you doing?
Wait, guys.
What's
you can't.
In my face. In my face. It's cold.
Do you guys want to get in trouble? I'll call your parents. You know what? That's it. I'm home. Ow!
So we love to see that. We love to see, our law enforcement officials having a good time with something. And yes, beyond all reason and explanation, snow falling in the state of Arizona, all the way down into Scottsdale and Tucson, which is almost never heard of. And our own contribution to the story, tweakers in Arizona are disappointed. Tucson police confirms white stuff from sky is not cocaine. Repeat, is not cocaine. So yes, that happened this week. We actually had snow-capped mountains surrounding Phoenix. Phoenix looked a little more like Salt Lake City this week. And we've had really, really low temperatures. I mean, I think last week the highest it got was 60. So I know the rest of the country's like, oh yeah, we've been snowed in for months. Hey, it's weird for us, okay? So it's newsworthy. It's weird. We don't do snow here. In fact, a colleague of mine who lives in North Scottsdale had about 6 inches of snow on the ground, was snowed in by 6 inches of snow because he couldn't clear his driveway. There are no plows in his neighborhood, and you can't buy a snow shovel in Phoenix. It's not a thing that is available for purchase at a local Walmart. So, yes, snow in Arizona, snow in Phoenix. It happened this past week. In fact, a little bit later on today, probably heading up to play in the snow with my kids. So that's going to be pretty cool. So I wanted to go to some more news from the local Phoenix market here. It appears that our local news media, specifically the Arizona Republic, also known as the Arizona Repugnant, also known as all the muck that's fit to rake here in the state of Arizona, has a major problem with Kellys. Now, I don't mean that as like a last name. I mean that as two Kellys in particular. Kelly Townsend, representative of the Arizona State Legislature, and Dr. Kelly Ward, recently elected chairwoman of the Arizona Republican Party, former senatorial candidate, has been covered at length on the HoloNet on several occasions. These two Kellys dominating political news in the Valley this week. First, we go to Arizona Representative Kelly Townsend, representative of Mesa, on Wednesday, posted a photo of herself with 2 teardrops drawn under her eye, an accent that she said was in response to a bill that would have repealed an Arizona abortion law. Not just any Arizona abortion law, mind you. This is the Born Alive law here in Arizona, which states that all medical care must be given to any botched abortion baby to ensure that they survive. So if the baby is born alive in the midst of a botched abortion, the baby must be given medical assistance. And in a horrific display of blind partisanship, Arizona Democrats attempted to repeal this law earlier this week. Thank God it was defeated in committee. But Representative Townsend decided to, using makeup, I'll go to the picture here. Here we go. She drew 2 teardrops symbolically at her eye that she's weeping for the lives lost due to abortion. Now, the Arizona Republic, ignoring context, as the media so frequently does ignore context, was very quick to point out that teardrops near the eye, specifically tattooed on, are in prison culture an indication of gang affiliation. So again, ignoring all context, they decided to point this out. They even say in the second paragraph of the AZ Central story, Townsend's post on Facebook doesn't make clear whether she's aware of the gang affiliation of teardrop tattoos, but in a phone interview she said she is aware of the connotation. A filled-in teardrop on the face often signifies that the wearer has committed murder, according to Kentucky Law Enforcement magazine, although the tattoo has recently become popular among such musicians as Lil Wayne. The tattoo can also carry many other meanings, such as time spent in prison. Townsend said the teardrops were a, quote, visible reminder of how sad it is that some advocate for infanticide. I can't control what people think or where their minds have taken it. It has nothing to do with gangs or prisons or any of that. I just want to focus on the life of babies that are left to die. So in an effort to reclaim the narrative away from Representative Townsend that she is symbolically weeping for the infants that are being slaughtered by the thousands throughout our nation through abortion on demand and through out-and-out infanticide as allowed under New York law and now I believe Vermont law as well, if I'm not mistaken. She chose to illustrate this. And ignoring all context thereof, they go, oh, don't you know that signifies something different in prison? Is the representative currently in prison? No. Well, that doesn't matter. Context, people. This goes back to actually the criminal trial of Mr. Meekum, Count Dankula, where he was informed by Scottish prosecutors, that the context of his video wherein he taught his girlfriend's pug how to mock Nazi salute in response to certain phrases, in the context of a joke, that the context was irrelevant. That's what the Arizona Republic and AZ Central are trying to tell you now about Representative Townsend. That the context of the teardrops illustrated, it looks like she probably drew them in with eye pencil, beneath her eye, is irrelevant. All that matters is what it appears to be on the surface. And, oh, that has the connotation of being a prison tat, of a gang affiliation. With the implication that, what, Representative Townsend has committed murder? Is that what they're trying to get at here? This is the kind of shoddy, crap journalism that is designed to steal the narrative and spin the news. Instead of focusing on the fact that Republicans in the Arizona legislature defeated the overturn and repeal of the Born Alive Act, which they just described as an Arizona abortion law, and they don't go into further detail about it at all through the length of the entire piece. Link in the description. You can read it. Oh, looks like they added that. All right, I have to add that. So, the bill Townsend was invoking, House Bill 2696. Sorry, I retract that past statement in a previous version. I didn't see that. The bill Townsend was invoking... excuse me, was introduced by Representative Raquel Tarrin, Democrat of Phoenix. Tarrin's bill would repeal the 1975 law requiring doctors to use all available means and medical skills to save a baby born alive during an abortion. Tarrin said she intended for the bill to repeal the 2017 law that added more specific definitions to the 1975 measure. She blamed a drafting error for the bill, which failed in committee on Wednesday, even after it was narrowed in scope via an amendment. The photo Townsend posted to Facebook was accompanied with the caption, "Today's face in response to HB 2696 that would repeal the Born Alive Act." Still notwithstanding, the attempt of AZ Central here is to take away all focus and basically take the piss out of Representative Townsend. And this goes on in the form of Kelly Ward. Now, funny enough, I drew this connection because Representative Townsend and Chairman Ward, Madam Chairman Ward, they actually sat down and had a meeting this past week, and I made note of it on Facebook going, hey, two of my favorite Arizona Republican leaders getting together. So it was a good thing. But then I drew the connection. I drew the same connection that the Arizona Republic must be. That these are two of the most up-and-coming women in the Arizona Republican Party. And sure enough, AZ Central has been coming after Dr. Kelly Ward as well. AZ Central reports Kelly Ward, AZ GOP chairwoman, gets help from a volunteer who posted racist and homophobic tweets. I'm not going to read through this whole farce, but the long and short of it is that a volunteer, who also, by the way, worked for Turning Point USA, so had some conservative bona fides, a young lady by the last name of Grumman, made some somewhat racist tweets when she was in high school. The woman to my awareness is about 22 years old right now. And a quote here in the story is, "I think we need people hired that will solidify our party and grow it, and it's difficult to do that when you bring baggage with you," said former Governor Jan Brewer, a Republican who has at times clashed with Ward. Kelly was elected chairman. I guess she can choose who she wants for her team if she thinks that person is the right person for the Republican Party in Arizona. Did anybody else catch the word volunteered in the first part of the story? This is a person who is volunteering their time. They're not getting paid. And they made some tweets back in high school. It looks like it was reported by Huffington Post while this person was an employee of Turning Point USA. Yeah. She also worked for the Millennial Coalition with U.S. Senator Ted Cruz in 2016 and was an intern for Trent Franks. And the tweets came to light in a 2018 Huffington Post story, which published the old posts. In these posts, she wrote racial slurs about black people and Latinos, as well as homophobic slurs. The accounts are no longer active, but the tweets are documented in HuffPo's reporting, and portions of the posts are still online. And she wrote, "I love making racist jokes. If you're a race other than white, I promise to make racist jokes toward you. I am always making racist comments, LOL." So the long and short, you have a volunteer in your midst. Who is it? Poster. Likes posting racist jokes. Not good. But how much direct control does the chairperson of the Republican Party have over your rank and file volunteer staff? There's no hiring committee for volunteers. There typically is very little vetting process because these people are donating their time. They're giving their time away freely. It's free labor. Now, if you're going to be brought before a hiring committee, then there's the expectation of a greater vetting process and deeper dive into your past history, your social media. But is it realistic to have that same expectation for your volunteer staff? Now, I would say Turning Point USA, given the fact they hired this person, that's a different story. The internship with Trent Franks, also a different story. But anytime you're looking at a volunteer basis organization, yes, you can reactively distance yourself away from someone who you find out has this type of a background. But it's very difficult to gather a volunteer force, a grassroots volunteer group, and vet everyone this thoroughly. You're turning away a lot of people and you're applying a lot of labor. So we have to think about how realistic it is for any organization. I would say the DNC as well. If you'll remember, the gentleman who decided to shoot up a congressional baseball practice was an activist and a volunteer for the Bernie Sanders campaign. And the media seemed to widely accept the fact that Bernie Sanders distanced himself from that individual post facto in a reactive sort of manner, because it is not realistic to vet and police a volunteer force to that extent. But what is this? This is, again, an attempt by AZ Central and the Arizona Republic to take the piss out of Kelly Ward. And wait, it gets better! What are the dates on this? You have February 21st, 2019, and the same day, an opinion piece. Why do white supremacists, racists, and other fringe characters love Kelly Ward? Opinion: Arizona Republican Party chairman attracts the darndest people. Wonder if she wonders why. Talking about Steve Bannon and talking about Sebastian Gorka. And painting them as white supremacists and racists and Nazis. And we're pointing out the same girl, the same Grumman character with her tweets. Because God can't let that go to waste. Got to use it twice. Don't forget Wisconsin congressional candidate Paul Nealon, who cheerfully describes himself as a pro-white Christian American candidate. Yeah, that's a big problem. Ward supported his unsuccessful bid to unseat Speaker Paul Ryan in 2017 and was seen palling around with him at the Deplorable. This is insane. This is insane. Number one, the spurious accusations against Steve Bannon being a white supremacist and a homophobe. Chief strategist Steve Bannon, who described it, because look at the paragraph here. They describe white supremacists, homophobes, and other fringe characters. While they don't come out directly and accuse them of being they're lumping them in with, you're calling Steve Bannon essentially a white supremacist, a homophobe, or a fringe character. Then they talk about the president in that same context. Sebastian Gorka, a former Trump national security aide who some have linked to a quasi-Nazi Hungarian nationalist group. That goes back to a story at The Atlantic. Gorka is disputed. He is a member of the Vitenzi Rend. He also explained that white supremacists are not the problem in America when it comes to battling terrorism, just days before the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, that left 1 woman dead and 19 injured. Ward paid Gorka to come visit Phoenix last year to attend a campaign rally. Another AZ Central report. So Breitbart cut ties with Nealon, given his anti-Semitic tweets, and the Arizona Republican Party said he's not welcome there. And to my understanding, the Arizona Republican Party hasn't welcomed him back either. Yeah. So, yet another round of the Arizona Republic swinging in the dirt. And I think I figured it out. And it took me reaching back to think about Sarah Palin. And to also think about former Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, who was mentioned as well. And I think I've got it down. I think I know what the Democratic Party's problem is with Kelly Townsend and with Madam Chairwoman Kelly Ward.
It's afraid. It's afraid!
I think it's fairly obvious. They're afraid. You see, people like me, your classic white, male, heterosexual, Christian, conservative, Republican, they know how to take me down. They think they do, at least. They know how to fight up against men in the Republican Party. Even better if it's an old man in the Republican Party. They think they've got that down. But when you get young, vivacious, intelligent, intellectual women in the Republican Party, think Tomi Lahren. No matter what you think about Tommy, she's a force to be reckoned with. Candace Owens. Think about Allie B. Stuckey. These bright conservative women. The DNC, the leftists, the progressives, they have no idea what the hell to do with you. They don't know what to do. They can't fight you on the same ground, to the same effect, and to the same level that they can an old white man. It's the same reason that the DNC and the progressives fear people of color who are prominent within the Republican Party. Unless your name's Ted Cruz. They're not really afraid of Ted. I think it's because they look at him and go, yeah, he's white enough. Dr. Ben Carson. They were afraid of Dr. Ben Carson. Wisconsin Sheriff Clark. They're afraid of him. Conservative host here in Phoenix. I believe he's on 550 KFYI, the Conservative Circus. Oh God, I can never recall because he replaced my good buddy Chris Merrill on there. James T. Harris. They don't like James T. Harris either. Watson Prunier, good friend of mine, from Mojo 50. They don't know what to do with prominent conservatives who don't fall into the old white guy mold. So they lash out irrationally, without context, and they go for these low-hanging fruit stories that are easily dismissed because they lack merit, because they lack substance. And that's local here in Arizona. What are they doing in your state? Look around, do so carefully. Do so with discernment. Who are they trying to strike down and keep from the public view? Who are they working hardest on? Because whoever they're decrying the most, you probably need to lend an ear to. You probably want to reach out your hand toward, because there's likely something there. They're responding out of fear. They're responding because they don't know how to otherwise. They cannot meet these individuals, these people, these leaders, on the battlefield of ideas and hope to win. As Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been daring people to oppose her on the Green New Deal, saying that people are going to have to sit down and shut up. Let me go to that tweet real fast. Some people are aghast that we've connected the dots between environmental, econ, social, and racial justice in the Green New Deal. Despite Flint, Standing Rock, Puerto Rico, Katrina, and West Virginia, people desperately want to blind us to the injustices of frontline communities. Because, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Let's see here. Yup, if you don't like the Green New Deal, then come up with your own ambitious on-scale proposal to address the global climate crisis. Until then, we're in charge, and you're just shouting from the cheap seats. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, ladies and gentlemen. The Green New Deal agenda is both feasible and affordable. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of insanity. And it strikes me as such a desperation tactic. Because they know they cannot attack women on the right the same way that many conservatives on the right, yourself included, myself included, yours truly, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is inexperienced and unripe and unsuited for service in Congress. By the way, this isn't due to her gender. This is due to her age. At 29 grand total years old, having done nothing else in her life except go to school. They can't attack women on the right the same way, because they'll be excoriated by their feminist counterparts. And speaking of feminism run amok, go to Twitter. This actually happened to me the other day, 23rd of February. My wife went online, because we have birthdays coming up for our 2-year-old boys. They're 2 right now, they're turning 3. And she wanted to see what is a good book for a 3-year-old boy. And what came up as the first bestseller recommendation on Amazon.com, showing selected results, books for 3-year-old boys. The Little Feminist Board Book Set by Galson and Emily Kleinman. Yeah, that actually popped right up on Amazon. And this isn't on my Amazon search. This is on my wife's Amazon search. My wife isn't nearly as political as I am. She doesn't read the same kind of things that I do. So this isn't generated by her browsing behavior. This isn't generated by her cookies or her last viewed pages, because my reading materials. I read everything from the Communist Manifesto down to, Rules for Radicals, because that's what I do. I read Dinesh D'Souza, I read Glenn Beck, I read Ann Coulter, I read all manner of conservative thinkers, but I also read political thought in general. And to respond to my good friend Chris Merrill, yes, I have actually read Mein Kampf. Because in order to understand something and refute it, you have to be aware of it. But we go on. Now, they describe this little book here, this little set of books. Mud Puppy's Little Feminist Board Book Set is comprised of colorful illustrated portraits of real women who have made historical impact on the world. Illustrations by Lydia Ortiz and words by Emily Kleinman introduce children to these important people in history with images that are fun for youngsters and also realistic. The board book set includes 4 mini board books, Pioneers, Artists, Leaders, and Activists. Includes artists Maya Angelou, Josephine Baker, Frida Kahlo, Ella Fitzgerald. Okay. Includes leaders Cleopatra. Oh, Queen Elizabeth I. All right, I like Queen Elizabeth. Indira Gandhi. Okay, and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton? Wait, what? Hillary Clinton. Includes activists Harriet Tubman. Okay, Harriet Tubman's great. Rosa Parks. Definitely. Gloria Steinem? What the Gloria... Wait a minute. So, let's look at this for a second. Let's do a little woosah. Take a step back. I searched for books for 3-year-old boys. See Spot Run and the like, Goodnight Moon. And I get the Little Feminist Board Book Set as Amazon's recommendation. And this is a book series that highlights prominent feminists throughout history, pioneers, artists, leaders, and activists. And among them are counted Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hillary ran for president and didn't get there, Clinton. And Gloria Steinem, who very recently received a golden idol made by a would-be liberal pastor. I think those pastor credentials are hanging pretty thin now. A golden idol made of melted down purity rings shaped like a woman's vagina. And this is someone my 3-year-old boys are supposed to study and want to emulate, huh? Is that a fact? Amazon? Fail. Big fail. We're going to go to your comments on this little story when we come back from this break. You're listening to the Holonet Podcast on the Lanterns Media Network and KLRN Radio. We'll be right back.
I see people coming together not for divisiveness of party or for dichotomy of thought, but for unity in principle. In the principles that founded our nation, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, ladies and gentlemen, those principles are under the sternest attack that we have seen in many generations. It has become a crime in this nation nearly to express a difference in opinion from what is held by your party to be doctrine, from what is purported by the media to be truth. We have an opportunity to reach out to our fellow Americans regardless of their creed and regardless of their political inclinations, and unite as Americans, not as Republicans or as Democrats, as liberals or conservatives, but to unite around the principles that have guided this nation so well. I've covered a lot of stories, but the story that remains untold is the story of America in the 21st century, when we choose to turn back the tide against progressive socialism, when we choose to embrace the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, when we remember what it is to be Americans. And that principle will not die as long as there's one man, one woman, one child who looks defiantly into the night and says, I am free.
You're listening to the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. The new conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
You're listening to the HoloNet on Lanterns Media Network. The millennial conservative resistance begins here.
And we're back. You're listening to the HoloNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on holonet.com. That is www.theholonet.com. The HoloNet is able to be found on KLRN Radio. We are also on Facebook, facebook.com/HoloNet. Tweet at the HoloNet. We are on Gab, Minds, MeWe. Yes, we are on the MeWe's as well if you want to chat us up there. If you want to support the HoloNet, you can support us on Subscribestar. And I do still have Patreon open, although it is not a primary method for supporting the show at this time. But if you want to, we are always grateful for any support that you can give. Now, back to it. We're going to your comments now on the Amazon story here about the Little Feminist board book set. And I've got a couple here that I'm going to go through with you. A lot of hopeful people, a lot of recommendations actually for some better reading options. Looks like... Okay, I'm going to go to comment from Andy. And Andy is in the We Stand With Glenn Beck group. Andy says, "Oh, for Pete's sake! What the hell?" I have an excellent recommendation. The Tuttle Twins by Connor Boyle. Each book is based on a book written by authors such as Frederick Bastier's The Law, The Golden Rule based on Ron Paul's A Foreign Policy of Freedom, The Search for Atlas, Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, Road to Serfdom, Frederick Hayek's Road to Serfdom, Here we go. And 5 other books for kids. At the end of each book, there's a drawing of the original author and information about them and why they wrote the book. On the next page, there's a glossary of terms, discussion of questions, and a website to download the PDF to provide kids with all kinds of activities to reinforce the lessons learned in the book. I've purchased 4 sets. I keep one set at my home, easy to read and understand. The values taught are timeless. They always have deals going also. That's at www.tuttletwins.com. I'm feeling sorry for children learning unnatural law and feminist values from people who didn't raise children, and I'm one who had a full-time nanny. I'm going to bet $10 there isn't one single value from natural law in any one of those quote-unquote nothing feminine books. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. I'm going to be checking on the Tuttle Twins because you're not the first person who also mentioned that. Another commenter, Kim, directly on my page said, "We've been on our toes constantly. You have to go through a whole book to make sure there are no hidden messages. Going through this with my granddaughters, good luck." She said, "I just ordered the Tuttle Twin set for 8 and 10-year-old granddaughters. I may learn something from them. It's good to keep your eye on these things." She said, "I don't blame you. I wouldn't consider buying it. I meant just about any books for sale for kids these days. I read a young adult sci-fi I was going to give my niece and didn't get too far through it before the main character started making fun of another character because she was a Christian and believed in all that quote-unquote Bible stuff. If it had stayed neutral, I could have handled it, but they just couldn't leave it alone." And we're seeing this more and more. We're seeing books and media that are focused at our young people that are decrying Christianity as a faith, that are making fun of it, poking fun at people for their religion, for simply having religion. It's insanity. Laura on the Fans of KLRN Radio said, "Wait, is this for real?" To which I replied, 100%, try it yourself. To which she did, apparently, and said, "What the hell? This is real. As a mom of sons, I want to give up sometimes. I won't, but I want to." And I'll say it again here, same as I said in the comments there. Don't give up, Laura. Never give up. Never surrender. It is so hard these days, so very hard, to provide good materials and good outlets for our children, especially our boys. I know that our girls are equally as important, and we have to train up our young women to be strong, powerful women who at the same time respect and value positive masculinity. As I said in a previous show, men are around to be the providers, the protectors, the defenders. Women are the nurturers, the home builders, the teachers, in many cases, of our children. I believe there are some ways that, the husband or the male is better equipped to teach some lessons that the mother, the woman, is better equipped to teach. That is why a 2-parent household is so crucial. We know the left doesn't want to hear anything about that. So in my tweet, I said, "Seriously, at Amazon, I look up books for 3-year-old boy for my son, and you recommend a feminist book set that highlights Gloria Steinem and Hillary Clinton as great leaders? What in the actual More SJW misandry. Protect our boys." You have to do it. You have to pay close attention to these materials that you're providing to your children, be it on YouTube, be it on television, be it in DVD format, magazines, books. You have to be vigilant, parents, because they're trying to strip our boys of their masculinity. And they're trying to strip our daughters of anything traditionally feminine. There's a quote out there, and I've mangled this quote so many times on this show. Let me see if I can get it right. Okay, Sir William Gerald Golding, Nobel Prize-winning writer, best known for the 1954 novel Lord of the Flies. He is quoted as saying, "I think women are foolish to pretend that they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been. Because in many ways, historically speaking, it has been the job of men to uphold women on a pedestal and on a platform, to respect women. And like I said, I'm raising my sons to be gentlemen. I'm going to raise my daughter to be a lady. And we have to get back to these traditional values. And this is where I say I'm a constitutional conservative. As yes, I do believe in some conservative social values. As I pointed out on the show many times before, I don't believe, religiously speaking, in gay marriage, but from a constitutional perspective, I don't believe that the government has a right to stop anybody from being with who they want. And that's where I tend to differ with some harder-line social conservatives. That's where nuance is necessary. And we had the show a couple of weeks ago, The Death of Nuance. We need to make sure that nuance survives, because a nuanced argument is an honest argument. Now, on the attacks on Christianity that many of our commenters were alluding to, we can look to thefederalist.com, where Democrats have taken down another judicial nominee simply because he's a Christian. Rick Eisenberg and Anthony Lococo start out saying, dissenting in Obergefell versus Hodge, the 2015 Supreme Court case that legalized same-sex marriage, Justice Samuel Alito gravely predicted that those who cling to old beliefs will be able to whisper their thoughts in the recesses of their homes, but if they repeat those views in public, they will risk being labeled as bigots and treated as such by governments, employers, and schools. He was right. In Wisconsin, this campaign of religious intolerance has claimed a new casualty in Gordon Gianpietro, President Trump's former nominee to a vacant seat in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. He was revealed to have been removed from a list of renominations Trump issued January 22nd. Democrats have all but ensured that, for the crime of publicly voicing the teachings of his faith, Gianpietro will never sit on the federal bench. So, the nonsense that is now claimed Gianpietro is very shameful, they go on to say. His qualifications were beyond question. He was an assistant general counsel at a Fortune 500 company. Has more than a decade's experience as a federal prosecutor, and after becoming a partner at one of Wisconsin's most successful law firms, he received the approval of the bipartisan Wisconsin Federal Nominating Commission. Wisconsin Senators Ron Johnson, Tammy Baldwin, Republican, Democrat, and of the American Bar Association, which awarded him the official rating of qualified. But that was before BuzzFeed, good old BuzzFeed, reported that Gianpietro was unapologetically Orthodox Catholic, quoting remarks he had made on Catholic radio criticizing same-sex marriage and birth control, and a comment he had posted in response to an article on a Catholic website lamenting that the original sin of slavery has spawned a modern legacy of race-based decision-making, which is patently accurate. Completely accurate statement. Although his views on same-sex marriage and birth control reflect the official teaching of the Church with more than 1 billion members worldwide, and his views on affirmative action are well within the mainstream of conservative legal thought, Gianpietro had made the mistake of sharing his thoughts outside the recesses of his home. That gave the left the hook it needed. Oh, look, another one of Trump's court picks is really anti-gay, sneered a HuffPo headline. A prominent Madison newspaper branded Gianpietro entirely unacceptable. The Human Rights Campaign quickly pushed out a glossy attack ad urging viewers to contact their senators and tell them to block lifetime appointment for Gordon Gianpietro. Critics settled on two narratives. The first was that Gianpietro had failed to make the necessary disclosures to the nominating commission. This is patently false. He provided everything he was asked for, and no one on the commission could have been surprised by his religious views. And far more pernicious was the claim that his views meant he could not be an impartial judge, the corollary being that no faithful Catholic is qualified to serve in the federal judiciary. Wisconsin's 5 bishops penned an open letter to Baldwin, who held the power to sink Giampietro's nomination by withholding her senatorial letter of approval. The bishops insisted, and how sad that it even needed saying, that Catholics are capable of offering fair and impartial decisions when applying the law. They pleaded with Baldwin to give Giampietro a chance. It would have been a symbol of magnanimity. Yeah, I can speak today. Open-mindedness and statesmanship had Baldwin, the first openly gay elected individual of the U.S. Senate, at least granted Giampietro a hearing before her colleagues in the rest of the country. Instead, in an open letter addressed to President Trump, Baldwin reneged on her previous recommendation, stating that she was no longer supporting Giampietro, with Senator Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, honoring the blue slip tradition for district court nominees, essentially permitting a home state senator to block a nominee from receiving a vote. Baldwin ended the nomination. Yet another to join the long line of other prominent judicial candidates like Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who in 2017, Dianne Feinstein bizarrely complained that the dogma of the Catholic Church lived loudly within her, and that precluded her from service on the bench. I always play a little speech on my show that I had said, it has become a crime nearly to express views that differ from your party's dogma, or to question what the media deems to be truth. Those words were really quite prophetic when I spoke them back in 2017. More so than I thought here in 2019. You must guard yourselves. You must protect yourselves. Or like the Patriot Movement of Arizona, you may find yourself branded as a hate group. Or like Justice Giampietro, Gordon Giampietro, Judge Giampietro, I should say. You may find yourself blocked from acceding to a role that you should have had every opportunity to work toward. As we approach 2020, Americans find ourselves approaching what our ancestors would have found familiar ground. We find ourselves stepping into a new day where citizens are stripped of their religious freedom. Where your faith can preclude you from participating in government and the public sphere. And this is why we must hold the line against the night and stand together. From Phoenix, you're listening to the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network and KLRN Radio. Good night. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America.